Then he asked the questions. So would you like to come over? A voice in my head telling me that this is how people get murdered in New York City. I picked up the phone and I called one of my cousins. So I told him, okay, I think I'm gay. He's like, how do you know? And I'm like, I think I know since I was a kid. He's like, okay, can I call you back?
Okay, welcome back to the Safe Tea Podcast. I'm your host, Akbar Hamid. Today, I'm really excited. We have, I think, in this season, the one and only fashion designer, somebody I've admired for a while. I've got the incredible opportunity to attend his shows and witness his artistry firsthand. It is absolutely stunning. The show today, and I personally don't know his origin story at all. I just know that he's this fabulous designer that shows in New York and Paris and India, and everybody wears him. So I'm excited to dive into the origin story because we all know it's not easy to break into these spaces, especially as a person of color, as somebody coming from a foreign country. So very excited to dive into that. Hopefully it'll be super inspirational for all of you. Also, let's not forget he's dressed, Michelle Obama and so Lupita Nyong'o and all kinds. It doesn't get bigger for me than Michelle Obama. I'm sorry. That's just so epic. Somebody I am dying to meet one day and I'm inspired by every day. So incredibly excited to chat with you today. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here, Akbar. And you're someone I have also admired for a long time.
Thank you.
And you're that example for me and for generations before me and after me. We just have to work at it, and not only what we are comfortable with, but also exploring. And opportunity is something that doesn't just appear, and you have to make it. And you are exactly the example of that, and what you have achieved, and what interesting and exciting things that are in the pipeline that are about to be sort of announced. So I'm very excited and proud of you.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. We as a community have to support each other. And if we're not going to show up for each other and lift each other up, then no one else is. So, so that's really special. So we start every episode by asking our guests, do you drink tea? Is it chai? Do you have a tea ritual, or do you not like tea at all? Which would be like sacrilegious as an Indian.
I love tea. Last evening I was with friends. I had this Afghani tea, which was not different from our masala chai, but it was quite something. It's a mixture of spices that are sort of boiled with the tea. And so, yeah, tea is essential.
A big part of your everyday.
Yes, absolutely.
People know you now for this incredible artistry and then the people you dress and this brand you've built, but it surely was not easy breaking through. But I'd love to dive into that. How did you even, you were born in India and you grew up there. Also, we have an added layer of being gay. So it's not only are you, immigrant, brown, it's another layer. So how was it growing up? Did you have to hide that part of yourself?
I had a very happy childhood, and I'm very lucky to admit that. And what I would classify you and I as, we are multi-minorities. We have many different layers to us, and being gay is a big part of it. I grew up in Odisha on the East Coast, a town called Rourkela, which is a very modern city. But I come from a family that is progressive. My father was an engineer. Mom was an artist, but she was primarily a homemaker. She raised us. And a lot of doctors in the family as well. And
of course.
Yes, of course. Of course, doctors and engineers. But I'm the youngest of the four, so I got away with a lot of things.
I'm the youngest of four too.
Yeah, so there you are. So
there we go.
More we sort of, I was allowed to be who I was. And, I come from a middle-class family. We didn't have many things in the house. Like, we didn't even have a TV. My mother didn't have a refrigerator. Till it's mid-80s or something. But we always had good books to read and amazing food to eat. Our summers were in our coastal village for 3 months. We were raised on fresh seafood. So all those things were sort of, which were normal to me. And growing up in Odisha was filled with crafts and colors and all those elements which shaped me, and including my parents' guidances and value system they gave me. My roots are everything to me, and I bank on that. Every single creative or professional decision I make, one way or the other, I sort of lean on that. As a kid, I wanted to learn about fashion. I wanted, not even fashion, like my mother was very good at doing sewing and embroidery. One time, I was like 12 years old. My mother was sewing something on my grandmother's sewing machine, the one with the pedal thing.
Yes,
It was
I
not even
remember those.
powered. Yes. And so it's like driving a stick shift because you have to have the coordination of hands and your feet. And so she got up from her chair one day. She's like, "You want to try it? Here, continue it." And I couldn't believe it. So I sort of, I started slowly doing it. And, then I started running with it. And I would take her old saris and bed sheets and sort of cut up and make
Wow.
shapes out of it. That was my thing, is like, how to take something flat and create shapes.
And no training, just
No
it
training.
came to you.
Yeah, so whatever my mother was sort of teaching me or taught me. And my sister was so kind. She would like, "I will wear these for you, but at home. Don't ask me to go out in them." And so,
Well, now she probably wants to wear everything.
after all that, and a few years later, I was still like maybe 15 years old. My mother gave me some money one day. Like, "Why didn't you take and go to the fabric shop, buy whatever you want, and make something for your sister because a cousin was getting married?" That was the very first time I experienced what it means to be acknowledged for something that you have done. So I made an outfit for her, and I was there. The wedding day happened, reception was happening. She was getting ready. She's always late. I was there on time, and I remember this massive hall, and then she walks. She's very shy. And this is the first time I remember her walking into this room filled with people. She's wearing a beautiful yellow chiffon, a long skirt with a black and gold jacquard, South cotton sort of a top. And she walks in, and the way she looked, she was only 2 years older. She's not even that much older. And I felt that she was a different, like, she had that power. And everyone came talking to her, and she was dressed sort of non-traditional for the first time. And so that was another thing that stayed with me. But I continued my studies, my academics.
And so you were going to pursue fashion to study, or were your parents still like medicine, engineering?
They were like, "Whatever you want." By the time I got to college, they're like, "Whatever you want, dude, it's fine." Because they have raised 3 kids already. So for me, and they knew that, they acknowledged my interest. But they understood that I have something a little different from rest of my siblings. I didn't quite know how people made a living by designing clothes. But then come the weekend supplements with the daily newspapers that we used to get, like Statesman or Times of India. I would read about like Rohit Paul or Rohit Khosla and Sunit Verma and Tarun. And I'm like, "Oh my God, look, he's from Bombay and doing this." And I could relate to it, but not quite, because I couldn't really picture myself that way, because I didn't grow up in those big metros. I was still in Rourkela in Odisha. But that's all I had. And then I continued my economics degree. I realized that, okay, I'm good in numbers. And then I applied for a master's degree to America in economics. I got a little scholarship, and I packed my bags. My parents like, "Okay, go." But I was thinking, how do I make that transition? I ended up in Utah, Logan, Utah.
Wow. And this was when? In
96.
Oh, wow. Okay.
96. And I had never been in an airplane, like never seen.
So that was your first
flight.
And the first destination was Utah.
It was very simple. My life was very simple. I was experiencing a lot of things that people growing up, whether in big cities or people were here, but I was okay with it. I was rolling with it. And I was in Logan, Utah. People were like, "Why Utah?" Because
but that's where you got your scholarship.
I had 2 cousins there, and they had a very good econ department. So I applied there, and I got in.
Well, it's incredible that your family was so supportive. I mean, not everybody has that story.
Yeah.
So that's really nice to hear, and it's really refreshing. So, okay, so you're in Utah and you're doing economics, and then obviously you have this skill and this passion. So how do we get from Utah to New York?
Yes.
And all the stuff you're doing now?
I was there for 2.5 years. I did first semester. I did very well in econ and had great professors. One of my professors happened to see my sketchbook. She's the one who said, like, "Oh, you need to go to New York." So the next day she gave me 2 brochures, one from Parsons and one from FIT. Parsons was out because, the fee was double.
And they didn't have scholarships or programs.
Well, yeah, it was like I didn't even get to that stage. And then I changed my degree there to more of a fashion merchandising. And then the same professor, she called her friends in the art department so I could sit on the back of the class. I had no money, and I was working as a janitor, my first job. I didn't even
Wow.
know what a janitor's job was. So I applied, I got in thinking that it'll be some data analysis job. And after the interviews, they basically introduced me to the head custodial guy, Jay, in his overalls. And he handed me one of those squeezies.
Yeah.
Squeezies like you clean the glass windows. So 9 months at a minimum wage, I was a custodian at this little hotel they had on campus called the University Inn. I was vacuuming 5 floors, shoveling snow I'd never seen snow in my life, by the way.
Wow.
And so $4.75 an hour and 20 hours a week. I did my math quickly. That paid my shared rent and my food. And then I had a little bit of money left for my fee. Tuition fee was very little. So finished my thesis, and I had applied at FIT. There was a home design test that they sent. And so 8 chapters. I finished everything. The last one was to design something for the First Lady. And I found that extremely difficult because I knew that it can't just be red, white, and blue. And
was it Hillary Clinton at the time? Okay,
yes.
Amazing.
And so I was like, what do I do that it's meaningful and it's clever? I got in somehow, and still I was questioning myself, like, is this the right path? And it's a big decision. And I had applied for a student loan. Even though I knew that I'm an immigrant, most of my experience has been, people that were supporting me, like Jeanette, who saw my sketchbooks on her own, called all her professors. I was sitting in life drawing classes on the back for free, and so that I could practice.
Wow.
And I was in the theater department making costumes there. All those things helped me build my portfolio to apply. Anyway, I called my father one evening, still in Utah. Dad, I defended my thesis here, and I could continue on or take a job, or I could go to New York to study fashion. What do you think? And clever man that he was, he wanted me to make a decision on my own. But all he knew and cared about it basically sums up what he said. He said, close your eyes, picture yourself 10 years from now. Whatever you see yourself doing and be happy that is your calling.
Wow.
And I hung up and I realized that, okay, this is what it is. And so I packed up my bag, came to New York, and moved into Alumni Hall on 27th and 7th. Wow. And the journey with FIT started.
Far cry from Utah. It's like probably you felt so much more connected and I think discovered so much more of yourself. What was happening at this time with like your sexuality and like discovering that part of you? Had you explored that at all?
I mean, Utah is not the
place
to sort of explore. Sexuality was sort of put away a little bit,
but
decidedly.
You knew. I mean,
I knew that, those days of thinking that all men had the similar kind of feeling about other men was like, yeah, probably everyone felt that. That sort of stayed in India as a childhood. But I realized that, there is something different about me, and that's my reality. But even then, I didn't know the norms. So I didn't know the rules, again, if you're in a bigger city, whether you're straight or gay, there are some codes of how you go out on dates.
Yeah, yeah.
Only after moving to New York, I had the full space to even think about and the opportunity of meeting someone. But in Utah, you don't, there was no your nightlife is in the library or like a graduate school thing. It hasn't changed
much. Well, now we have Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Right.
So there has been
But
some
it's beautiful
change.
in the sense that I got to sort of understand, like, oh, these are the people that I'm attracted to, which are like, everyone was athletic, and in the summers everyone would be sort of outdoorsy, and people are beautiful there, both boys and girls. So, but that was it. But coming to New York that's when I really felt like, okay, it's time for me to sort of explore, and a lot of things fell into place on its own.
So you're at FIT, you're studying, you're building your career, and then did you meet your now partner in 1999? Is that?
My program was very intense, and I knew that I need to find an internship and have some experience so that I can get a job right after, because I didn't have the luxury of sort of finding something after, because I'd be homeless. I had nothing else. After 3 months, my friend Carlos, who's from Venezuela, very colorful, and he's like, Bibhu, you're not having any fun. Keep $10 in your pocket and I'll take you out for a drink. So that one Saturday night, I got out my beautifully tailored, made in India, my trousers and my shirts buttoned down, and I'm going out. So I dressed up, and then he took me to this very hip bar then called G on
Okay.
19th Street. It was brand new and beautiful people, and that's the first time I'm in a gay bar. I didn't even drink. So
Oh, wow.
so
Okay.
so I bought one glass of wine, $7, gave $1 tip.
Wow, even back then, a glass of wine was
Was
$7.
$7. G bar, right?
Well,
So,
no, but it's
or $6 something. I know. Remember putting some after tipping. I put like $1 or $2 in my pocket,
yeah.
and so one glass of wine. I stood there, and the room gets packed. I don't know if you've been there. It had an
Is it
oval
still
bar.
there?
Yeah,
No.
it's called Rebar now.
Oh, now it's Rebar. Okay.
And so it had an oval bar and really beautiful boys, girls, everyone was there. And so I was leaning against wall and I was sipping on it, worried that I'll get drunk. And from 19th Street to 27th Street, I had to walk back. So I'm there and this man walks in. It's at 10:45. Carlos, of course, took his shirt off and disappeared somewhere. I never saw him for the rest of the evening. And this man walks in wearing a white shirt and with a big lemon in his hand, tossing in the air.
A lemon, okay.
and of course, he's very attractive, and everyone looks at him and goes around the oval a few times. And I knew his presence, and I didn't know when he left. So he was already standing there on the corner of waiting to go down to take the subway. And then he's like, smiled, and he's like, hello, I saw you in there. What's your name? And so we started conversing there. And he had just come back from India for a month.
Wow.
And then he was sort of dropping every single thing, names, places, to sort of make a connection. And here I'm also excited and so like, oh, this is unusual. Like, you don't even know. So then we were sort of going back and forth on that block, sort of talking to each other, and a voice in my head telling me that this is how people get murdered in New York City. he could be, So, but I was enjoying the whole excitement of it. Again, mind you that I've never had this kind of a interaction. Then he asked the questions. He's like, so would you like to come over?
And you're like, what do you mean? This is the horror murder
Whole
slasher
thing,
movie
this is
unfolding.
about to unfold.
exactly.
And so I'm like, no. But I'll walk you to the subway station. So I walked him to 14th Street and we exchanged numbers and that's it. And 3 weeks goes by and I was also busy. I was.
And at this point, it was like a landline, right? Were cell phones there yet? No.
He had a cell phone.
Okay.
He had
But
very new.
So
very
you were
new.
like very Carrie Bradshaw, waiting by the phone, waiting for the phone to ring, because that's when we watch Sex in the City. It's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
we watch it. It's like this answering machine, and she's running, and it's
Yes,
like-
yes. I don't think I even have an answering machine. And so I would go out and then I would finish school and then I'll go to my internship at Halston, which was,
you interned. We didn't even talk about that. You interned at Halston.
I mean, he was long gone. Again, like I didn't know how to go about it, right? So I printed 15 of my resumes and I walked on 7th Avenue. All these buildings that today, when I was walking back here, and
Flashback.
530, 550, all these big buildings, I would go stand in the lobby and see Calvin Klein, Oscar, and all these names. So people that I knew, the brands that I knew, I would just go to those floors and drop off my resume like Chinese food menu.
Wow.
And so people thought I was crazy, but I was like, that's the only way. So I got a couple of phone calls, and one of them was Halston's design studio, and they liked my work, so they allowed me to work from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. every day, plus the weekends. So that became...
And this was a paid thing or internship?
I was not supposed to get paid because I'm an international student. But once I school was finished, then they started paying me a little bit. But the first time I realized that I can contribute to the system, and I was learning, big bolts of fabrics on my shoulders on these very streets, going to the factories, and whatever was asked of me, I did. And then I also met some of their very important clients, how they're being treated, the technical side of the making clothes and fittings. And I was like in seventh heaven, because 7th Avenue, 7th heaven, really.
Well, you have the skill and the technique, and then now you're getting this business exposure of like, how do the sales work?
Practical
What's the
things.
interaction? Yeah.
Again, all along, I knew that as an immigrant, like this is an opportunity.
Yeah.
I finally got to this stage. I did not want to even sleep. I wanted to continue this as much as I could, with the hope that by the time I graduate, I'll have some sort of a job that I would, because I had that OPT situation. Legally, you are allowed to stay for a year to practice. And then after that, if you get a sponsorship, you stay on. There's a lot of ifs with that. So I basically finished my internship and I finished my degree. I got the Critics Award, which was great. And that at the graduation, I actually had a little show in the auditorium at FIT. And I asked Bobby, and we had gone out 3 times.
Okay,
by then.
so he did call because we skipped that.
So 3 weeks. After
so
3
you
weeks,
waited by the phone for 3 weeks.
No, I did not. I did not wait. By that time, I was sort of graduating. Luckily, the president was aware of me. And then when I had applied for a job at J. Mendel, when they're looking for, they're starting ready to wear, they placed an ad and I applied. And then they called the president, the school, and I got recommended, so I got a job. So
that was your first big
first main job. Yeah,
that's incredible.
9 years there,
and then you started your label.
Yeah,
that must have been scary, right? As a transition, so you're working for a known designer, but you've now established great credibility. Probably have a great network. How was taking that leap?
Having something of my own was always a part of a big dream, right? But all along, to get to that stage, I have so many people to thank. That, along with the some sort of a confidence that I knew that if you work hard, people pay attention. Something will happen out of it. As long as you are fair and you're nice to people, that things happen. And that has been my sort of mantra, and it has been true that. So J. Mendel was great. When I started, it was 3 people on my team. I needed to prove myself because it was a luxury brand, but it was mainly known for its furs. So it was my task to sort of help with Mr. Mendel to create that ready-to-wear. And that was a great opportunity. And to have that trust from them to be able to say what I want to say for that brand, it was important. And I was given that landscape. And one of the biggest thing I learned is how important it is to have the right team around you, and which I know you understand that. Every day you learn from them, and hopefully you share that they also take away. And it's always a collaboration. Doesn't matter if it's the sewer, if it's the cutter, if it's the pattern maker, whoever it is. So by the time I left after 8.5 years, my team was 25 people.
Wow.
And a lot of the friends, and including Bobby.
And at this point, were you married? No.
No, not yet.
And had he met your family? Had they come to visit you?
Everyone knew of him. My family here, my brother, everyone sort of had met him.
Was there any coming out, or like it was just sort of, here's Bobby?
I'll tell you. No. I was like a kid. Like when something like that happens, you just want to share it with someone, right? And I was still in the dorms. It was like midnight. I picked up the phone and I called one of my cousins. Hey, Sandeep, I have something to tell you. And he was in the middle of something. He's like, yeah, tell me quickly. I don't have much time. So I told him, okay, I think I'm gay. He's like, okay, how do you know? And I'm like, I think I know since I was a kid. I mean, I'm sure now. He's like, okay, can I call you back? So he hangs up. I'm like,
so anticlimactic. You're like, okay.
But I remember particularly that I felt that confidence that I can actually share this excitement with others. And I was not so worried about the outcome, whatever their reaction may be. But somewhere I felt comforted that these are my family, these are my people. Lucky to have that.
Of course.
But it sort of automatically, I felt like, okay, I was there. So 5 minutes after the phone rings, there are 5 of them on the other end, including my brother.
Oh my God, in a full conference call. This was before Zoom.
Before Zoom. But trust me, it was the same effect of Zoom.
Zoom.
And so they're all it was an intense thing. And I said to them very casual, like, okay, I'm gay. And I met this wonderful person. And so they're all screaming with joy, we're coming, because they all knew.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah, it was like the most exciting thing. And, to me now, I think like they knew I'm a boy who loves to make frocks. So, I mean, of course, I had to be gay. Yeah.
Which is a stereotype, but you were living the stereotype. Yeah.
Fine. And so they didn't want to sort of go there. Everyone is sort of saying something except for my brother. So then someone asked like, hey, Bijoy, why are you quiet? And the Bijoy says, clears his throat. And he's like, well, that makes 2 of us.
Wait, your brother is gay too? Oh my God. Wait, this is amazing.
And I'm like, dude, He couldn't even let me have my time for a second. He's
yeah.
just like, hold on to my coattail.
And is he middle, eldest?
He's the second one.
So my sister's the eldest. She's a lesbian. I'm the
Yes.
youngest.
Yeah,
and gay. So
that's
we're
a-
also
I was
two
like, we have
queers. Yeah.
a sort of,
So many commonalities.
So-
But how did that make you feel? Did you feel closer to him right away? I'm sure.
We're
Right?
very close anyway, and he knew also. Later on, he said, like, dude, I mean, he wanted me to come out on my own. He didn't want to influence me in any way because we're very close.
I can't believe you were holding on to this whole
Yeah.
time we're talking. This is like the juicy.
He had a friend that we would hear about. They would go on vacation. So same kind of a thing. But that's my big coming out.
That's a beautiful coming
Yeah.
out. But it is inspirational for people to hear because you never know, like reaching out
Never
to
know.
a cousin first is a
Yeah.
resource,
Yeah.
a sibling first. Like for me, it was sort of siblings, cousins, and then the last frontier was the parents. But then
yeah.
you're building the support system, which is really important.
Absolutely. And after I got my job and then we decided to live together. And so my parents knew of him. And as a very nice human being, they've spoken to him on the phone. But I never spelled it out
Clearly
to them, right? So job was fine. Bobby made me like take a break, take a couple of weeks. And then he took me to Paris first time.
Wow.
And before I started at J. Mendel.
Okay, so you're really Carrie Bradshaw. I mean, that's like Mr. Big taking you to Paris. Like, this is.
So, yeah, I guess.
I love it.
It's when we're like, okay, Paris. He's like, yeah, the company is based in Paris. So don't you want to go to the. So I'm like, okay, I justified it and then bought my ticket. We went to Paris and I went to J. Mendel and Mr. Mendel's father was there. And I went to the store on Rue Saint-Honoré and introduced me. Like, I'm studying. Came back, started work. And any new job, and my first job, it was a big responsibility. It became bigger. And they were also doing my immigration papers. And 8 years, I learned a lot. And I also gave a lot. And I'm particularly proud of not just the product that we created, but I was very proud of the team and the community that I built. Every single person that was there, they had a very important role to play, and especially people who are in my team. So I started understanding what exactly luxury means and how we can utilize craft to really spell out luxury and create unique things. And always going to be grateful to Mr. Mendel for giving me that opportunity and trusting me. And that trust built over years of working together. And not only it was popular amongst the celebrities and editors or for the magazines, but it was commercially successful. So we built something really, really incredible. But all along, Bobby started saying, like, you work too hard. I was going to Hong Kong 8 times a year and going to Paris and all great. But it was taking a lot out of my system. And one day, my dear friend, Lawrence Santo Domingo and Bobby took me to the Old Pasties for a drink to sort of convince me that, okay, it's time. That was mostly easy decision, but the hardest part was to saying goodbye to my team because they were my family.
Did anyone want to go with you?
One person.
And did they?
Yes, they're still
wow.
with me.
Wow.
It's our head sewer. And Narcissa is someone super wonderful. And Mr. Mendel was not happy when Women's Wear Daily wrote something. But I turned off my phone and my email. I was in Europe for a month, clearing my head. And I had rented a tiny little space, 15 by 15 room on 73rd and Broadway. I'd sit there and sort of figure out what I have to do. And I was paying rent to push me. And whatever I had saved from this 8-9 years there, that was the seed money. And then after I came back, I got a call from Bergdorf. We're ready, you have left Mendel, what's happening? Keep us posted. And by that time, economy had sort of bottom had fallen because the 2008 recession. That's when being an economist and understanding how to create something at a time that is so tumultuous required a lot of courage. And I knew that I was free to think 100% that is of my own vocabulary to create something. That was the exciting part.
And you already had Bergdorf calling. I mean, at this point, you had built a great network. which is what's important for me. When I started my agency, we celebrate 10 years this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But it was because I had worked at, you worked at different fashion houses. I'd worked at different big agencies, moved my way up.
Yeah.
And I had built trust and credibility. I was running the campaigns. The clients knew I was behind the ideas. And then there you go. And then you take the leap.
Yeah.
And it's scary, but everything starts falling into place because when you believe and bet on yourself, and when you have earned it, right? You've worked hard. So that's the important part. You have to have the skill and you have to put in the time.
Yeah.
You can't develop those skills overnight. You have to do that grunt work.
Absolutely. And even then, like, you always have to be on top of things. You have to play a fair game. You have to be nice and kind to people.
Yeah.
And that's a whole part of people knowing you. And you can't just build communities. You also have to be invested in it with your personal attributes. And people remember certain things the way you treat them. And, decisions you make and you learn and you fall down. And that's what happened with me too. Business was great. We built at a difficult time, but everyone came to see it. Only one store placed the order from the first collection, which is tiny.
And you showed it in that little showroom that you had?
No, we showed it at the penthouse of Bryant Park Hotel because the shows were there.
Yes, the Bryant Park days, those were the best.
Yeah, and so it was a presentation with 8 models, and Lauren styled the shows.
Wow.
But that was the beginning of it, and then third collection is what Bergdorf picked us up.
Wow.
And Neiman Marcus, and then sort of
grew.
and but still running by the traditional norms of how retail wholesale business in fashion works, which was not perfect. And so we grew. Challenges are there always, but how you sort of manage and how you make these decisions and the balance of, I always say, creativity and commerce. How do you sort of always keep that? And there are a lot of distractions also. We went through a rough patch, and we sort of never stopped from creating products with integrity. Things changed for all of us, but for me, I knew that I'm not going to go back with the same tools. I'm going to go back with a different formula, and much less worried about change, really much more welcoming about change happening and ready to pivot any moment. And we got to keep our team members, and then we restarted again. And I remember it was all sort of lockdown and everything. We slowed down, but that also gave us a map how the next chapter is going to be unfold. And I knew that we skipped a season, September 2020. That would be spring 2021. So how do we do it? See whatever fabric we had, because nothing was being shipped. So whatever we had, we designed a collection. And I wanted to make a film. It was inspired by Amrita Shergill. So her life, I was having a drink outside with a friend in Hudson, New York. And these 2 girls stopped by. And my friend knew them, and they introduced, and they sat down. And I said, hey, I'm doing a film. And it's inspired by, and this person, one of the girls said, like, I want to be a part of it. My name is Ariana. I want to do it. And I'm like, are you sure? I mean, sure. You cannot play Amrita because you identify as a Black person, but yeah, you can be the main muse. And here's the story. That whole thing became like, okay, everyone is at home. People are struggling. If I can raise some money and distribute that, disperse it, all these creatives between the models and those hair, makeup, my stylist. So Shruti found her crew, my stylist friend, Kat, and my team. All of us, we said we're going to do it. And it was shot in Hudson in the old Opera House. And then Olana, which was this beautiful Moorish-style mansion that sits on a hill, overlooks the Hudson River, and from 1800s. It's beautiful. And so this Ariana is Ariana DeBose.
Oh my God. Wait, this is crazy. You like hold all these little gems, okay? Because we have to tell the story, and then you're like, oh, this is just an Oscar winner.
West Side Story was done, ready to be released, but delayed for obviously. Yes. And then I was like, Ariana, I cannot afford you. She's like, no, talk to my team. And so I'm like, I'm going to pay you in clothes. What I created there is, of course, the film, and which still gets all these little awards. And it's very beautiful and it's powerful. And New York Times did a story on it. But what I created is all these bonds, and it did exactly that. Whatever little bit of money that we dispersed to all these models and all these team members, that's what I wanted to do. And the collaboration, and I gained a friend. Ariana is a dear friend, and then she won the Oscars, and that's luck, and that is someone's goodwill, that those sort of paths would cross, and the fact that she would be willing to do something, collaborate with me. I don't take it for granted.
Yeah.
I will always be grateful to her and my entire crew. And we're double masked, and half of it was outside. So that was the first collection after COVID.
I think this is such a good story about resilience and also just constantly reinventing, right? Not giving up, but what can we do next? What can we do different? Why I think you continue to succeed is you're always thinking about community and not just you. So how do we give money to all these creatives? How do we lift people up who are struggling during the pandemic? So I think leading with that purpose and community in mind is always going to just be beneficial for you. You're always going to win. And you're going to bring other people up with you.
Thank you. I think that comes with clarity. Like, the intent was there, the founding principles of living, let's say, given by our parents and our family, right? But then what we do with it is, and how we grow with it, is up to us. Again, I give a lot of, like you earlier mentioned about Michelle Obama, those two human beings, for little time I spent with them, and plus when we see them on even TV or read about what they've written or read about them, all those things sort of shaped, whether we realize or not. And I remember her team found us, and then we dressed her first on the Tonight Show. That's the first time. Then we dressed her to the Black Caucus dinner, and then I was invited to some event at the White House. And that's where she was talking about how every single day she reminds her children and reminds herself that it's a privilege to live in that house, the house that was built by the slaves. And she always told her daughters that it never to take it for granted, because we never know whether we'll ever get invited back into that space, because it's such a, so, but she also knew that that platform that they had, that for that 8 years, they make the most of it, become that examples. And during one of those nights, musical nights or something, she sort of whispered something to my ears, like, we're going to do something like fun together or something. She said and left. She
wow.
said something like,
my God.
What and as Bobby was there, Bobby's like, I don't know. And then 2 weeks later, I got a phone call from her team and some screenshots that from my website that she had liked for a trip to India, the second state visit.
Wow. What a full circle moment for you. So this is beautiful. An immigrant from India who landed in Utah, who made it to New York and climbed up the fashion world ladder, is now dressing the First Lady of the United States on her visit to India. I mean, that's just beautiful.
We made it, and then I didn't even realize I was busy with my collection. I got a text that we just landed in Delhi, and it's being live telecast. Prime Minister Modi is on the tarmac. Find a TV because she's wearing you. And then I text my sister, like, hey, what are you doing? She's like, yeah, I'm watching TV. The Obamas just landed. And I'm like, okay, when you see them first, when they come out, can you take a picture? Because I want to confirm before I tweet and everything, because I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
And then within like a few minutes, she sends me the blurry picture of her TV. So she took the phone, and then I tweeted that. And things changed after that. And she knew exactly what she was doing. 3 days later, her head of communication calls me, like, Bibhu, if you think you're only on Seventh Heaven from this, you're wrong, because we are so thrilled, and the amount of positivity that people of India have shown. They love them anyway, but this was like, oh my God, like she really. And it's, I don't even sell in India, and people know of it, but she sort of made sure that she.
Yeah, and this is soft diplomacy. This is what you do, and in such a beautiful way.
Yeah.
To forge a connection. I think you've said often, I've heard you say, clothes should reveal more of who someone is, not change them. I think that's so profound. I think sometimes people wear a lot of labels or things to kind of change how they feel about themselves or what they represent, but that's not what fashion should be.
You're right. I think at the end, it's a personal choice. Anyone and everyone is free to what they wear. But as a designer and from the creative end of it, my goal always has been to sort of make someone more of who they are than turning them into someone else. I do that when I'm designing for opera or when I'm doing costumes. And that's when I focus on the character. So the artist is trying to sort of immerse into that character. And when I'm as a costume designer, I sort of figure out, okay, how do I take the character and the artist and sort of through the costumes make them into much more of a believable character that the role demands. But when as a fashion designer, where we are creating products that makes people who they are, and the fact that also as a process they trust that they don't have to become someone else to wear these clothes, and that also brings to the point of creating something with a life beyond a season, and slowing down the process of creating clothes is super important, and that allows us to create pieces that you would buy and it would have a longer life in your wardrobe that works with many other things. And that's when I feel like the design is successful, that it has that longevity element to it, because we take great pride in creating things that are very well made, and it has an emotional connection with the person who buys it and collects it for a longest period of time. And they find that it gives them that confidence and that power of who they are, and project the best version of their own self.
I love that. We've talked so much about the T part, the transform, elevate, and affirm, which you're continuing to do on a global level now. I've been seeing recently you've been going to India a lot. So was that what kind of brought you back there to integrate into Fashion Week there? Were you already going?
Because I was a part of New York Fashion Week, so IMG had sort of sent me to India to do a finale once. We have a lot of following there, and we sort of dress key people, but we haven't sold our product there because I want to do I have a strategy for India.
Oh, so it's coming.
It's yes, it's hopefully it'll, yes.
Well, while you're telling me that's coming, will you ever do men's?
Yes, that's also in the plan, and
that would be amazing.
It's about men's is tailoring, and I have some thoughts. It has to be in collaboration with some know-how and knowledge from Naples, Italy area, where we can sort of really nice tailoring, and so that's definitely in the fine jewelry and menswear and line for India is what has been the focus.
I'd love to wear something, obviously.
Are you kidding me?
To come make it here in New York and Paris first and then go back there, I think is really something special and inspirational for all the creative talent there to see that one of us did that. And also now they can do that there. I mean, when you were coming up, it was much harder, I think, right? There were these few names. And now there's so many. I think you were at Lakshmi Fashion Week. The talent, the brands, it's just unbelievable.
It's massive. And so much really authentic, good work coming out of there. My job has been, one of the things has been a big blessing that I have the opportunity to mentor. I love, with this Supima design competition that happens every year, I get to mentor 8 students from each of the art schools in America. But besides that, I have a lot of young students that come from India. The fact that we actually give a platform that we can share with young talents and young professionals that they can go back and make something of their own, I don't think there is a price tag or that you cannot quantify that. And I'm extremely proud, and I will always be proud of the fact that I'm able to give back that way through my stories. And I always talk about my failures first, because things that didn't work for me is what I hold very close to my heart. Anything great that, sure, they can read on Google, but the troubles and the trials and all the difficult things and how to make the right decision about something, those are the things tools I give them, and every chance I get. Especially this environment, I remember you said something about that community and how important it is for us to not always think about us. Of course, we have to make sure that we are on a steady ground before we can help others. I'm going back to 2016, the last event at the White House, the first term of the current administration. And that's when I got to really share my story about the FIT admission designing for First
Yeah.
Lady to actually holding her hand right there, telling her the story that this was my test at FIT. And
Wow,
fast
what a
forward
moment.
that I'm here, I've dressed you multiple times, you're my friend, and I'm inspired by you. And if this is not American dream coming true, what is? And she was super emotional, and she was very grateful that I shared that with her. And then I asked for President Obama, and she's like, yeah, turn around, he's there. And so Bobby was with me, and then I shook his hand, and I'm like, Mr. President, thank you for having us over. Thanks to you that let me introduce you to my husband, because I can introduce
Wow,
him as that.
that's
And
so
so
beautiful.
they bonded, because I owe him for that. But then I asked him, so how do we go from here to what's coming? And he said, without taking any names, he said, this is democracy. People of this country wanted that. It's going to be difficult a few years, but we have to be mindful of each other's issues along with our own issues. Otherwise, if we just focus on ours, we will sort of be fragmented. What we need to do is keep our communities even closer, and then really understand what our neighbors or our colleagues or whoever is, whatever they're going through, we have to take account for that and build the case of us as a community. And he said this in simple 2-3 sentences, and I was hopeful. Those words I hold on to.
Yeah.
Even what we are all collectively facing now, that's what I try to remind myself, that this is the only way to move forward.
That's so beautiful. And I hope we get a book from you one day, because I think there's so much more. This was so fascinating, but there's so much more we need to hear, and all the intricacies of how you built your career. I think this was such an amazing conversation. Before we end every episode, well, we talked about what's next. You told us that already spilled the tea about your upcoming collections. We do a quick fire round at the end of just fun stuff. What's your favorite comfort food or family recipe?
I love to cook simple food, and
What's one dish that you always make?
ODS shrimp curry, like
Ooh,
the quickest one
delicious.
is like very simple and something that sort of I can whip up in 20 minutes.
20 minutes. Oh my God. I'm going to call you when I need it. I'm going to FaceTime
Anytime.
you.
That can happen. That can happen up here too.
It'll probably take me 2 hours. What is your go-to Delulu thought that keeps you going?
I think connections, how I can reach people through my message, through my work. And it's not about selling extra things for me. It never was. And after COVID, I realized that that is not the point. But it's how I build connections, and through those connections, communities. Now I realize that we have built these communities that I have never even been there. But all these areas where we sort of, through our products, that we sort of reach out to people, but there's a goodwill that we build. So more of that kind of network, that, and also my little mentorship program that I have. Every time I see a young talent that has sort of taken a next leap through their work, I'm the loudest cheering for it. So that's what I look for.
And you've given us so much advice, but the last question is one piece of advice you wish someone gave you when you were just starting out.
Understanding that opportunities come in many different ways, and you have to work towards it. But sometimes they're disguised, and they're not really opportunities at that moment. And to have the knowledge of saying no, that okay, and evaluating is what is the value of that,
Yeah.
and if it's right for, that is something that one unfortunately learns through making decisions, good or bad or right or wrong. That's something I always tell my mentees, that always work hard and always look out for opportunities, but before you jump on full on it, evaluate it and make sure that that's the right opportunity for that moment. Something that may seem that is right for someone else, that formula doesn't really apply, not necessarily for everyone at that moment. It may be good in 6 months, but sometimes it's important to sort of slow down and sort of step away and then look back. And that's also part of my creative process too. Like I could sketch and I could sort of put together, and then I need to step back and then come back and really understand, is this the right direction?
I love that. I think I do that a lot, like the pause and reflect.
Yes.
And
yes, absolutely.
because you might not be ready for that.
Yeah.
If you're about to start a company and you haven't really started it, and all of a sudden somebody wants to give you a big chunk of money. I mean, unless you're building a product, but maybe you actually need to stop and think about the value proposition, because it's exciting to be like amazing and take the check. But if you don't actually know what you're doing, then and you mess that up, no investment in the future. That investor is not going to come back. So I love that.
And it has to be, you have to understand that's smart money for you, right? So it's sometimes it's not enough to just get the money. You have to be sort of positioned to make the most of it. And even that alone, like, the people will sort of show up, like, everyone wants to be with the light or something shiny, right? You're doing these amazing things. Of course, everyone wants to be a part of it or somehow associated with it. And that's great. But when you're thinking about purely business terms, and when it's about like, funds involved, and someone wants to be a partner in your business, and like, what is the collective goal there? And you always, sometimes it's become,
and what are you giving up?
What are you giving up, and what is and what you're really getting with that money? Because just writing a check is not enough. If someone is coming on, what are they really bringing USP-wise? What are they bringing with experience and knowledge or connections-wise, so that fund, that resource is utilized in the most efficient way, so that whatever you're giving up to get that money has the right value.
That's such good advice.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining The Safety and sharing so much of your story and really going intimate and deep with us.
Thank you.
Where can everyone follow you? Just on Instagram?
On Instagram, and or come to visit our store, our little
on
174 right? Duane Street, and it's our atelier and our store and our laboratory, and it's a safe place. And we sit down, and we have a back of the space, we call it the library, and that has books, and that has swatches and drinks and whatever people want to do, so we can sit there and collaborate and have meetings. It's a good space.
Thank you. This was an incredible conversation. For more conversations, follow us and subscribe at The Safety. Thank you for joining.